there's gonna be any vote, it's just interviews tonight, 4.5 hours of interviews tonight, no voting. Tomorrow, about 2 interviews, about 3 hours, and then voting. Currently, the plan is, if we don't change it, vote for one. If no one gets 8 votes, the lowest vote getter is removed, vote for one again. That's the current process. We've discussed that a couple times. So that's the current plan that you would like to change.
It's an elimination process.
It's until if someone gets 8 votes, that person's superintendent. So we have 5 candidates. Vote for one. If someone gets 8 votes, they're the superintendent. No one gets 8 votes, lowest guy's eliminated, vote again. That's the current plan. And just for reference, we have discussed this 2, maybe 3 times already. Go ahead.
So what are two the same number of times?
Okay, so in the event of a tie, if it's a tie for last, currently what we would do is vote on just those 2 to eliminate one. If that makes sense. That's what you'd have to do if there's a tie for last. So if it's 5, and now, yeah, if 2 guys get 1 vote each, you'd have to vote on that one to eliminate that one. Now we got a whole bunch of questions. So now, hang on. We're not discussing whether or not we're going to vote in whatever way. We're only voting on, are we going to discuss this at this meeting, because we've already discussed it at least twice. So I'm not going to kill it if it's 14 against me. I'm not going to kill it, but we're not discussing it. We're voting on whether or not to discuss it, okay? Because it's not on the agenda. Very brief, okay?
So we're down to 3 candidates, and one has 6 and the other.
All right, so we're only discussing whether or not we're going to discuss how we're going to vote. We've already been through this a couple times. So if there's no more questions, again, we're voting right now on, go ahead, very, very brief.
But I guess on whether or not we're gonna vote, I think we do, because we did in detail, the tiebreakers, and we didn't vote on all that, so I think we do need.
I think you're right, we did not in detail discuss tiebreakers, but you can go back to recordings. On multiple occasions, we've discussed vote for one. Vote for one has been discussed on multiple occasions, but y'all are right about tiebreakers. Right. Okay, so we're voting on whether or not we're gonna add a discussion item to discuss the voting process. Go ahead, Mr. Bourne. Roll call, please.
Ms. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Baumgart?
Yes.
Mr. Brewer?
Yes.
Mr. Castillo? Sorry.
No.
Ms. Fontaine?
Yes.
Mr. Gay?
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty?
Yes.
Ms. McReynolds?
Yes.
Mr. Natale? Mr. O'Banion?
Yes.
Mr. Pishon?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
No.
Mr. Tarver?
No.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
Dr. Washington?
Yes.
Not unanimous, vote fails.
All right, so now we're going to proceed with the meeting as it was announced. We're starting a few minutes late. Still going to have the same amount of time for each candidate. We're not cutting anybody's time, so let's go ahead and get started unless there's anything amiss to Mr. Bourne. I'm not missing anything, huh? Good? Okay, come on up, Mr. Calderera. We're going to start with a brief introduction by Mr. Calderera. At that point, after he's done, we'll come to the board for questions. So we're going to probably everybody's going to get a chance to answer questions, but the first thing we're going to do is we're going to give Mr. Calderera as long as he needs, maximum of 10 minutes. And hey, I'm going to tell all the candidates this when they sit down, just so you know, this is a long meeting for all of us. So if someone gets up to use the bathroom or gets up to get some water, don't take it personally, right? We're just going to continue. That's nothing personal. It's going to happen. Go ahead, Mr. Calderera.
Dan, good afternoon, board members. Thank you for having me here today. I want to first start off with thanking you guys for your time and your service to the students of Calhoun Parish. I'm honored to be here. I thank you again for this opportunity to interview for the superintendent of the Calhoun Parish School Board. Thank you for having me. I am Frank Max Calderera II. I go by Max most of the time. You'll hear a lot of people reference me as Pistol. Depending on the time frame of when students came through and had interactions with me, you may hear them call me Coach Pistol, you may hear them call me Mr. Calderera, but I go by Max or Pistol, however you want to address me. I was born right here in Lake Charles. I grew up right in Westlake, and I'm proud to be from Westlake. I am a Calhoun Parish School Board public school system product. I'm a Westlake High School graduate. I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of the diversity that Westlake High School has allowed me to be in. In Westlake High School, of course, you know, I was involved in athletics, but more than that, I was involved in Beta Club, Student Council. I was involved in Quiz Bowl. I was actually the salutatorian of my class. Two of my dear lady friends were ahead of me in my class. I'll refer to their maiden names as Lori Bankins and Miss Dana Gorse. Some of these people may know Miss Lori from our gifted program, and Dana, she's an engineer in our local industry. But I'm very proud of where I come from. My mom is Wanda Calderera. She started right here in education, teaching at Cauchy Parish School Board, and she moved on to the State Department of Education, where she served and had a retirement at 30 years at the State Department of Education. My dad is Frank Max Calderera Sr. He was a longtime coach at Westlake High School, actually inducted into the Hall of Fame with LHSAA. Very proud of him and his accomplishments. And I have one sister named Kimberly. My most proudest part of me, and what I consider my most proudest part is my current and immediate family. My wife, Jada Email Calderera, 23 years. She's a graduate of Sam Houston High School. We have three wonderful kids. Alicia, she is 22 years old. Olivia, she is 17 years old. And Max III, he is 12 years old. Alicia is a 2020 graduate of Sam Houston High School, a 2022 graduate of McNeese University. Very short stay at McNeese University because the great things we offer with dual enrollment here in our parish. She took advantage of that. Currently, she is in the dental school application process, and our hopes and prayers are with her that she can get accepted somewhere in dental school. Olivia is going to be a senior this year at Sam Houston High School. She is scheduled to graduate this year, 2025 Sam Houston graduate. Max, our baby, is a 2031 graduate of Sam Houston High School, all in public education. Again, our public education system has served us well. My oldest was, of course, in student council and other clubs, and she was primarily in band. Our middle one, she's a dancer in student council, pilot club at Sam Houston. The youngest, he's in robotics. He's going to attempt to be in band this year in 6th grade. And of course, he's ate up with athletics as well, which is great. We want well-rounded kids. I want well-rounded kids, but for our parish, I want well-rounded kids. I want as many activities, as many clubs, as many programs as we can provide to give students a place that they can call, where they can relate to and call their place, their home. These guys are my world. I have a strong belief in faith and family, and that's my rock right there. Along the way, I've made many friends. I try not to meet a stranger, and I hope to have many more friends to meet in the future. My education and experiences. I already told you I graduated from Westlake High School in '96. I received my bachelor's from McNeese in 2000. I received my master's from McNeese in 2010, and I received my superintendent certification in 2018. I bring over 23 years of experience to this role. From 2001 to 2011, I was a teacher at Westlake High School, primarily biology. Every now and then, for a year here and a year there, I would teach physical science. Every so often, a physics class. Whatever the principal needed in that realm, I taught. Whatever the organization needed to be successful. From 2011, I moved on to Arnett as in administration. 2 years, I was assistant principal. In 2013, I became the principal of Arnett. At that time, Arnett was a C-level school, lower C-level school. Under my tenure, we raised Arnett to the highest middle school in the parish, where we remained throughout my tenure. Along this way, I've developed a strong leadership and have a great passion for education and educating students. Some of my core values would include servant leader. You're going to hear that over and over in my interview today. Servant leader. Transformational leader. I want the people around us to get better, to go higher, to be better than they were when we met. I want to improve people around us. Transparency, honesty. Guys, I'm not scared of the truth. And when you ask me, you're gonna get the truth. I can have hard conversations when that time comes. I'd like to encourage teamwork. I encourage collective teacher efficacy. I encourage unity. Every one of you guys that I've talked with, you know that I want to raise morale in this parish, and I want to unify our parish. Let's see, I want to have a simple approach. I want to do the basics. I want to let our teachers do the basics, but I want them to do them very well. I believe in mastery goals over performance goals. Plan to inform the board in a consistent manner. I have the passion, the knowledge, and the leadership needed to guide this parish. As superintendent, I've told each of you I intend to, and this is going to be redundant, improve morale and increase unity. Increase unity starting with me and us 15 and me. Filtered down through each school, each department, each level. First steps of superintendency, like all good leaders, we're not going to just go in there and change. I do not like change just to put my name on a change. That's not effective. We'll get in there, we will assess, we will evaluate, we will foster relationships, we'll make sure everyone knows that we have an open door policy. We will be on site, visible, and accessible to our people. No quick changes. Guys, we already have a great school system. We do. We need to do a few things better. We need to raise the morale and have a little bit better unity. Throughout the beginning of my tenure, I'd like to meet with all schools and all departments. We want to gather the pulse, gather the needs. If we're going to be a servant leader, we need to know the needs that our people have to make them successful in their roles. When I meet with these departments, we're going to have two simple questions. Actually, we're going to have one simple question. And this is really this is no games here. And some of you guys that I've met with, I've told you this. What is the function of Calhoun Parish School Board? Why do we exist? And it's not a trick question. We exist to educate students. Period. Bottom line, to educate students. Okay? That is the teacher, that's a class of kids with a teacher in front of them educating them. Next thing, I would follow up with this. How does your job enhance CPSB educating students? That goes from every department, from maintenance to Max Calderera in the warehouse, to custodians, to bus drivers, to school nutrition. How do we enhance, how do we help to educate our students? We got to be able to answer that question. In each of our roles, we have to be able to answer that question. If we can't make the connection, if each person can't make that connection, then we have to reevaluate. We have to reinforce. We have to refocus. We have to realign our priorities so that these people know how they help our ultimate goal, educating students. We will definitely be supportive in this endeavor. I truly believe in vicarious actions. That's when, hey, if you can do it, I can do it as well. And if you can do it, how did you do it so well? I want to know that process. Along with these two questions, we're going to lay out our expectations, our priorities, our pillars, if you will. And this is across all levels of the organization. There's three priorities. Number one, and I'm going to refer to them throughout this interview. A lot of your questions that you ask me later on will probably become redundant because I'm going to focus on these three things. Safety of our students, okay? And I'm talking about safety in the classroom, safety at our school sites. Now, yeah, we have extracurricular activities and we have bus routes that are going on, but for the most part, safety in our school facilities. Number two, student learning, student development, life readiness. That's our job. We already discussed that earlier. We educate students. We have to get them ready to be productive citizens. Number three, our staffing. They are our boots on the ground. They are who are educating these kids. We have to have staffing retention. We have to have staffing recruitment. We have to have parish resources. Want to be efficient in those manners. Safety, student learning, and staffing. These will be referred to multiple times through our interview. Okay.
You good?
I've got one more little thing. I'm
Make
gonna
it
wrap
brief.
it up quick.
Yep.
As we embark and proceed through this interview, you will hear me say these things over and over again. Some will possibly be redundant. I remain simple. I'm excited for the challenge and opportunity to be the new superintendent, to lead CPSB to new heights, new morale, new unity. Thank you again, guys, for having me.
Thank you. All right, so now we're gonna start the question and answer or interrogation, whatever you wanna call it. I'm sure most people are gonna have questions, so we're gonna do first, we're gonna start down there, we're gonna work this way. One question at a time, and then if we have time, we'll go back. So that's what we're gonna, rather than just everybody raising their hands and me trying to keep up, we're just gonna start down there and come this way.
Always first, Miss Hale.
Lovely, hey. Mr. Carter, what is your plan to build unity? And our parishes have suffered a huge loss, a lot of division. What is your plan to reunite our parish and come back stronger?
Thank you, Ms. Hale. Great question, and I'm glad you brought it up. I was looking for a perfect time to bring this out. So, all of you guys have this, our strategic plan, okay? All of you guys have seen this as well, our strategic plan. This is a valid document, guys. It was started with Mr. Brookhouse. I think the PO was signed in probably December 21. They started getting going in 2022. We got the final product in May last year, May 2023. And it rolled out, and now it's on shelves, just sitting on shelves. But I gotta tell you about this document, and we talked about it a little bit, you and I. This is a comprehensive study, quantitative and qualitative. It is a valid document. They question you guys, they question other stakeholders, they question the teachers. You guys authorized us to pay Emergent Method to create this, okay? We need to use this, I'd like to use this aligned with the three pillars I mentioned, safety, student learning, and staffing retention. Use this and maybe even get Emergent Method back in here to help us have next steps with this. This document is valid and it is good for 5 years. We're just in the first year of it. I do not like spending money and wasting money for something to just sit on a shelf. If it's valid and it's accurate and it's been done with fidelity, then let's use it. Let's implement it. It's everything that this study shows we need to do and how we need to move our parish forward.
Mr. Bannon?
Yes, when we talked a little bit about raises.
Yes, sir.
Employees, and about, one of your ideas was closing schools. Can you detail?
So more than closing schools, we got to be efficient in everything we do. We got to be efficient in our food service program. We got to be efficient in our transportation. We have to look at being efficient in all facets of what we do. Closing schools is a very, very sensitive subject. We have very deep community values where all of you guys serve. If that would happen, that would have to happen with you guys supporting it. For instance, you brought up something just for you to merge a DeQuincy Elementary and a DeQuincy Primary back together. That would have to be you being fully on board with that. And yes, will it save us money? Let's look and see if it will. And if you're in agreement with that, we can do that.
Well, I just can you give some detail, like the amount of money it would take to get the raises we need and how you would come about that?
So I'm not as schooled as Mr. Barnes back here, but I can tell you, just from talking with him and looking at our budget that you guys just went through the other day, we spend about $20 million a year. $20 million a month on salaries and benefits, $240 million a year. I don't know the exact number cost to run a school. We'd have to get a study to get that done. But for instance, if we could somehow be more efficient and save, let's call it $20 million, then we'd have $20 million going to our salaries and benefits, which is about a 10% raise across the board. If that's what you're asking me.
Ms. McReynolds?
What approach or plan do you have to help staff it at our low performance schools in our district with certified teachers or effective teachers?
Thank you, ma'am. I want to start with talking about equality versus equity. Equality is giving everyone the same exact thing and expecting them to all end at the same level, and that's not what we're dealing with. We're not in a Ford or Toyota plant building vehicles when we strap on the same bumper over and over and over and over. It's just not that way. We have to focus on equity. Equity is giving everyone what they need because they're all starting from a different level. Okay? So with that being said, our low performance scores, we do great things right now. We assess, we analyze, we use data to figure that out. We have strategic planning. We have tier 1 curriculums to help them. The biggest thing that I feel we need to do with our low performance schools is have a strong leader, a very strong leader in those, and have certified teachers and allow those teachers to participate in collective teacher advocacy. That is the biggest growth factor that we can do in our public schools, and that's through studies, through John Hattie's studies of visible learning, an effect size of 1.57. So strong leaders and certified teachers.
Ms. Vonna?
Okay, other than just salary rates, what do you think it takes to get efficient, qualified teachers in this parish?
So, in my opinion, we're in Southwest Louisiana. We have a great taxing base. We have all this industry here that provides us, we've been told all along that we're a rich parish. Great, we have a great taxing base. However, it's a double-edged sword here. We get these kids out of college and we're paying them, and then our pay does not go up, and they see their friends go to the industries or sales, and they get paid better. We all know if these young couple could weather through that, at the end of their career, we are back end loaded with our retirement. However, we lose them to the higher paying jobs in years 5, 7, 10. We lose them. We just have to get more efficient, and we have to approve some pay raises for them. We can't lose them. Look, we're not going to be able to pay them what our private industry pays them. We're not. But if we can be competitive with them and keep them with us, we will retain more certified teachers for later on. And again, for them, at the end of their career, it would be back end loaded. Thank you, Ms. Faulkner.
Mr. Bro?
Couple of that, I had a couple of questions, I figured it would kind of cover them, and some of them did, but some of them pretty good. First of all, thank you for your dedication to the system. I went through like.
Mr. Bro, can you be sure and talk on your mic so everybody can hear you? Or is that good? Can y'all hear me? Okay.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll get into it like this. No, but thank you for your dedication to the system and all that. My kids have gone through the system. My wife is a teacher and all that, so I get it. And part of, I'll go to my first question that I had, and we'll hopefully get back to that in a second one. Couch Parish is a hell of a system.
Yes, sir.
I've been to several conferences over the years, which I paid for out of my own pocket. The system has never reimbursed me for anything for these conferences I go because I like it. But when you get there, and especially state conferences, and you hear other parishes talk about couch, how good y'all are, how advanced y'all are, how technology, you incorporate a lot of that kind of stuff in there. The one thing that just infuriates me for all the years I've been on the board is we still have several failing schools. We talk about equity and inclusion and all that kind of stuff, and we're spending $2.50 to 1 in those schools anywhere else, and we're still having issues. So I guess my question to you is, you kind of hit a little bit on it earlier, but I want maybe some more detail on that, I guess, is in your years of experience to start off as, you know, as a teacher and a coach and assistant principal, then a principal of middle school, and now in the warehouse, what in your background makes you a little bit better than some of the other ones that have other experiences in other areas that makes you better, and what can you do to turn these schools around? I mean, because I'm telling you, that burns, that's a sore spot with me. Our system is phenomenal, we have phenomenal people, but yet we have these schools, and we just can't get anywhere with it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So throughout my career, coaching especially, I've worked with many diverse kids. You hear the cliche all the time, but it's absolutely true. When they know you care about them, they're going to perform for you. They're going to exceed. So we have to get a strong leader in those schools, but we have to evaluate first. They may have a strong leader, they may have a plan in place, and it just hasn't taken place. We may have to just add a couple of things like collective teacher efficacy to it. But a strong leader and certified teachers in those schools will do wonders. With that strong leader, we got to get we got to make sure they foster relationships, not only in the school building, but community and parental as well. We'd like to embrace it and maybe look into partnering with other agencies, outside agencies, to help with community involvement, with help with parental involvement, but a strong leader and certified teachers is where I would start.
Mr. Natale?
Thank you. Mr. Colbert, you had mentioned that morale, employee morale was one of the things that you wanted to improve. So I was going to ask you about retention and hiring employees, but that's already been covered. What are some specifics that you could implement to improve the morale of the employees?
So a couple of things. Dr. Brumley just here recently did a new initiative. You guys probably heard about it. It's the Let Teachers Teach initiative. He put a group together and he did studies about why are teachers getting burnt out? Why are they getting frustrated? And they came out with a list of things that teachers suggested. One of them was not feeling supported. We need to support our teachers. And that starts from us, from the top, filtered down to principals. Principals not feeling supported, to not being able to have the strength to support the teachers. Teachers being supported. Another thing they talk about is discipline. They like discipline to get burned up in schools. In my opinion, why did it take Dr. Brumley to put this thing together to see this when you can just talk to our teachers around and find out that pulse already? So being out and visible and being out and accessible, we'll be able to find out our local pulse, not just from the Dr. Brumley Let Teachers Teach initiative. To piggyback on that, you know we have a new teacher evaluation tool coming down, the NIET evaluation rubric. Teachers, there's several of you up here, Ms. Fono, Seo, I think Ms. Gabe's a teacher, Dr. Washington for sure. When your principal came in to do your formal evaluation, you wanted an A. You wanted an A+. Like you wanted to be the best there was. This rubric, as we're taught, says that they're not going to be the best of the rubric. Well, teachers are not going to like that. I mean, they're just not going to like that, but we have to give them the confidence, we have to give them the support that it's okay that they're not the top, that we find some areas where they can improve the learning that goes in their schools and in their classrooms. So that type of support to support the principal, because there's going to be a lot of work on the principals as well, but that type of support for our teachers to know that, hey, you're okay, we got you, relax, and do what you do in the classroom, and we have your back.
Reverend Wallace?
Thank you. All right, Mr. Colbert, Reverend, you mentioned in in your introduction, you talked about mastery goals over performance.
Yes, sir.
And then you, in one of your points of emphasis, number 2, you said that student learning and development is definitely one of those emphases. And so my question is, with that in mind, how do you plan to address the specific needs of students with disabilities, English language learners, and other underserved populations?
Yes, sir. Let's see. I have a tab on that just somewhere, just a second. Okay, it'll be all right. Do you mind repeating that, please, Reverend Wallace?
Not at all. How do you plan to address the specific needs of students with disabilities, English language learners, and other underserved populations?
Thank you, sir. So in our federal programs, we already are doing that right now. Right now, our Title I programs is our economic disadvantage. Our Title III is our English language learner students. We're doing that right now. Right now, we're actually doing great things in our parish. Fairview is a hub for our English language learner students, and they're doing great things. For the students with disabilities, we're looking at an expert right here. Dr. Washington was led our department, and Mr. Harvey does a great job in her footsteps. I would rely on them to keep doing the things we're doing, but again, with the equity that they need for each individual student.
Mr. Castillo?
Yeah, Mr. Calder, when we talk about, the parish as a whole, there's, you may have performed a SWOT analysis on its strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. What do you consider some of those strengths and weaknesses of the parish, as well as opportunities and threats of the parish that you would face as a superintendent?
So, in my opinion, our strengths are we're a large parish. We have almost 5,000 employees. That's a lot of diverse thinkers right there. We have ample brain power to figure out anything we need. Being a large parish, our industry right here in our taxing, we have the resources to figure out what we need to figure out. The weakness that I would see is kind of the Stewart. We're a large parish. Some people get lost in this largeness of it. But we have to be out and about, we have to be visible, and we have to be taking a pulse of every aspect of our schools and departments to know and to make sure they have that focus on teachers in classrooms and student learning. So it's a double-edged sword. Our size is our strength, but it could also be a weakness as well.
Mr. Roberts?
One of my first 2 questions have already been asked, so I'm gonna pull something out of the air. We got a new president, McNeese. You talked about your daughter graduating early, all the dual enrollment. My kids went through dual enrollment. There's a lot of momentum at McNeese, a lot of momentum at Sewell. It's gonna be hard to improve on that, but what would you do to foster that, and also maybe career readiness?
Yes.
Is there any ideas on that? Anything that you could?
We have College Parish has great relationships right now with McNeese and with Sewell, and that was a big push with Dr. LaFarge, and I thank him for that. ABC School, CTE, Mr. McCardle, they do great things. Not every kid is going to go to McNeese, not every kid is going to go to Sewell, but every kid has to be life ready for something. We're going to keep making that push, Mr. Roberts. We're going to keep making these relationships with McNeese. We're going to keep building these relationships with Sewell. We're going to keep building the relationships with ABC School, the programs Mr. McCardle provides. Not just them, we're going to expand as much as we can. We're going to build relationships, and we're going to make sure our kids have the most opportunities they can. There's a niche somewhere for every one of our kids, and we have to find that. And we have to foster that.
Dr. Washington?
Good evening, Max.
Hey, Doc, how you doing?
I'm good.
I have a question that hasn't been addressed, within the district
Okay?
at all. We have a large percentage of students, black students, that attend different schools. I pulled the statistics just to see, and the reason I'm asking because I've had parents to complain about different things. In our schools currently, we have 20 schools that have 0% black administrators, but they have more than 20% of the students, of that student population are black. We have 2 schools in our district that have 0% black teachers, 0% black administrators, but more than 50% and 34% of their population are black. We have 2 other schools that have more than 48% and 49% respectively black students, with less than 5% of the teaching staff and 0% of the administrative staff are black. Whose responsibility is it to look at this data, and how would you, if you are superintendent, address it?
Yes, ma'am, thank you. So to start, I want to make sure everyone knows I support and I embrace diversity. Not only in education, but in all organizations. Again, I told you I grew up in Westlake. We're a very diverse town. My kids, band, dance. I want diversity around us. Diversity is critical in education. It enhances learning. It prepares students for a global society. There's very many different multiculturals around that we can learn from. Promotes equity and inclusion. Reflects community values. Encourages personal growth. Improves problem solving with the different perspectives that come with it. As superintendent, championing diversity means fostering an environment where every student feels valued and entitled to reach their full potential. It benefits not only the students, but society. Now, I probably didn't answer your question that you exactly wanted, but to move on to your administration and your staffing, my first hires at Arnett as principal were all minority. I recognize that we did not have good representation of our demographics, and we hired minority. We do that. That's what we did. So on the administrative front of it, we have to give our teachers and we have to give our minorities enhanced opportunities for development. We have to, and it may even take some persuasion. There's several of my staff that I know that didn't want to take the next step to be a leadership role or whatever it may be. And you just have to persuade them to do it and give them the opportunities where they can grow in that role, to where later on, it's not going to happen overnight, but later on down the pipeline, they will be ready for the interview process of becoming a leader. So we have to enhance that opportunity. Thank you, Doc.
Mr. Hardesty.
Okay, Mr. Colruyt, in my opinion, we have 5 great candidates for this position that we're interviewing. How can you convince us that you are the right person for the job?
Thank you, Mr. Hardesty. I'm going to fall back on my core values with this. I'm a servant leader, a transformational leader. I'm going to find out the pulse of our departments and our schools, and I'm going to give them the resources they need to be successful. Not only that, we're going to collaborate. We're going to have efficacy within our group to where all of us, our whole meeting team, whatever team that may be, will arrive at an answer. It probably will not be from this brain. Every other brain out there is probably smarter than me and is going to have the better answer than me, especially the one that comes from the situation that's needing the answer to be provided to. I hope that answer comes from someone else. My pride and my ego will not get in the way of someone else coming up with a great solution for the situation they're in. Once everyone has arrived at that answer, signature goes on it, everyone is now invested in that solution, and they're gonna work endlessly trying to make that succeed. So, I think that's why I'm the best candidate.
Mr. Baumgart.
Mr. Collier, I'm gonna make mine a little personal because, so as a spouse of a first grade teacher at Gills Elementary, I would like to really know your vision or thoughts on early childhood education before kindergarten, so they can be more prepared when they get to the early stages of elementary school.
Glad you asked that. One of the state initiatives, one of the state pillars is kindergarten ready. Wholeheartedly believe in early childhood education, pre-K. Right now, we service about 900 students in our pre-K. It's the lower socioeconomic group. I wholeheartedly believe in pre-K education. Shoot, I talk daily, if not daily, with Dr. Hubert. It's 2 to 3 times a week. We share a couple of employees through the warehouse, and we work hand in hand with her program. She does a phenomenal job. She has identified some areas that we can do some improvements in Calhoun Parish, and we're going to let her and her team expand on that and get us where we need to be. But yes, wholeheartedly, we need pre-K in our system.
Mr. Pichon.
How are you doing, sir?
Hey, Mr. Pichon.
We spoke previously about brand loyalty, and we want people to be invested in the brand. With all the changes coming from the state level on the horizon, we know that people are going to have more of a choice. And how do you plan to get the community, the stakeholders, and the parents to feel invested in our schools and our system to want to choose Calhoun Parish schools as where they send their kids?
Yes, sir. I think what you're referring to is the Louisiana Gator Scholarship.
Yeah, I know what's specific.
Yeah, no, it's out there. I mean, that's something we have to face, and we're going to have to win, Mr. Pichon. We're going to have to win. We're going to have to do it better. We're going to have to do it better than everyone in our area. I've told all of you guys, we have a phenomenal parish. We really do. We just have to take those next steps and raise morale. We have to raise morale within, to where our people within are promoting ourselves from within. For these first 3 years, the LA Gator Scholarship is just for lower socioeconomic students. But at that 3-year mark, it opens up to everyone. Who knows what's going to happen in government, Louisiana government, and from this time till now, but as of now, in 3 years, it opens up to everyone. And everyone that leaves our system to go to a private school or a charter school, they take their money with them. We've already talked about efficiency and trying to get pay raises, trying to get certified personnel. But at the end of the day, we raise our morale and we win within our own organization.
Ms. Gay.
Yes. I'm gonna call you a pistol, but only 3 people in this room know why, so we're not gonna tell them why. My question, sir, relates back to something that Mr. O'Banion asked early on.
Yes, ma'am.
I think I have not been a part of the discussion about closing schools, so if there has been one.
There has not.
Okay. And I don't consider.
Brainstorm,
Okay.
about just revenue, money coming in, money going out, that kind of
Okay, and I don't identify schools as failing schools. I consider them struggling schools because I think everyone on that campus of a struggling school is giving its all to make sure that there's growth in those students. I only wanted to say, tell me, we've talked about non-certified personnel in struggling schools. For 10 years I know, because I've been here 10 years, and I think prior to that, they discussed struggling schools. Do you have any plans to do anything differently that's been done because you actually improved a struggling school? So, what can you share with us that you, or whatever it was that you did, to move your school forward?
So right now, in our parish right now, we have a great program called the REACH program. It goes through, Mr. Spikes' office. They take our paraprofessionals, our aides, and, the ones that are loving education and loving their jobs and want to pursue, and they put them through, their schooling to get their undergrad degree. Once they have their undergrad degree, we can now work on their certification. That's going on right now in our parish. Now, to answer your question about Arnett, and it's gonna be redundant, but what the main, I'm gonna give you 2 reasons that Arnett scores went up. The main reason, and I said it earlier, strong leader with support for the students, support for the staff, and let them teach. We raised morale. With that strong leader, we raised morale within the school. Teachers became more invested in the school. And when that happens, it's not about the pay. You guys, it's not about the pay that you went into this. It's about making a difference. It's not educating students. And they went to work tirelessly to raise scores. Now, we did implement some programs that it's wouldn't be conducive to just a rubber stamp on schools to do, but we did implement a program called literacy skills in there where we had to, our students had to write. We had to dissect prompts, and they had to write for, the lead test at that time was changing from mostly multiple choice answers to expanded answers. Our students didn't want to write. I don't want to get in the weeds of it, but I tell you, we made a new core subject called literacy skills, where we taught them and developed them into writers, writing for short responses and writing essays.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we have a few more minutes, very brief questions, very brief answers.
Mr. Garber, you're not going?
I'm not gonna go because we're time limited,
Okay.
so I'm gonna let the other guys speak. Very brief questions, very brief answers, starting back at the beginning, Ms. Ayo.
Our teachers are tired, they're underpaid, they're overworked, and some of them are not feeling respected. You talked about getting teachers to feel like they're invested in the school and they won't be so concerned with their pay that they'll want to be there. How are you gonna do that?
Strong leaders. I'm being redundant, but it takes strong leaders. It takes strong leaders from the top down. But in that school, if the principal's not supporting their teachers, we, meaning at district level, need to give the principals the support to be able to facilitate support for teachers. But that principal is their ultimate supervisor. He's got to support them, and he or she's got to support them and give them supports, and that will ease their burdens and raise their morale.
Mr. Bay, Ms. McReynolds? Second round, anybody? Ms. Pontman, Mr. Bro? Mr. Bro, go ahead.
You talked about efficiency several times. What in the budget, because you're talking about being efficient with the money, what we're doing, so what do you think we're not doing correct in the budget? What can be corrected in the budget, or where are we wasting money, or?
I don't know that answer, Mr. Bro. When I met with everyone or talked to everyone on the phone, my first thing to tell you was, I don't have the answers. I just have an idea to go in to find out the answers and to improve morale and improve unity. But wherever we're not being efficient, and I mentioned bus routes, and Big A's in here. We have to provide our students with transportation. We have to provide them with ample opportunities. But at some point, are we doing too much busing? I don't know the answer to that. We just have to form some groups and form some committees to find out where we can be more efficient.
And I tend to agree with Ms. Gay, in the fact that, we have struggling schools,
Yes, sir.
underperforming schools, no school is failing. But however, with that in mind and in view, can you expound on something that I indicated in my first question and that you talked about earlier on, your meaning of mastery goals
Yes, sir.
and performance goals? Can you expound?
I would love to, yes. Mastery goals versus performance goals. Mastery goals are, it's when you master something, versus performance goals, and that's just receiving a good grade. Here's an example. Spanish. I want to master Spanish. The mastery goal is I want to be able to speak Spanish fluently. A performance goal is I want to make an A in Spanish class. I want to master the language of Spanish. When I have mastery goals and I achieve mastery goals.
And so I'm familiar, but can you give what your definition is and what you see, what your view is for the district on what, how you will, or plan?
Yes, sir. I will have to go back to those three pillars, safety, student learning, and staff resources. But in the student learning part of it, I've mentioned several times, students being in the classroom with that teacher. And I want to get to the basics. I want to do our basics very well. When we do our basics very well, and we become mastery at our basics, that is a mastery goal that has been achieved. Once that mastery goal has been achieved, the performance side will follow it after that. The scores will then come up after that. But we're not going to go into it focused on raising scores. We're going to go into it focused on raising the mastery goals, raising the learning within the classroom, the basic learning within the classroom. Mastery first, and then performance follows it, Reverend Wallace.
Second right.
So one of the things you mentioned way earlier, was getting back to the basics. I think the basics is,
Reading,
writing, arithmetic, right? So our state basically says otherwise, and they hold us to a different standard as well. One of the things that we're judged on as a parish is our district score. The school is judged on their score. But what you're saying is you would prefer for someone to learn the subject versus do well on the test. So are you advocating that we do not any longer teach to a test?
No, I am not.
So you want us to teach to a test, and therefore we may not.
No. I want to combine the two.
Okay.
So right now we use tier 1 curriculums anywhere we can, or the likeness, or the equivalent, or as close to it as we can. What a tier 1 curriculum means is it most closely aligns with the standards we're teaching, which means the test that we test is most closely aligned to that test. Okay, we're going to put ourselves in the best position to score well. Okay, with our tier 1 curriculum and with our teaching. And with our tier 1 curriculum, we still got to allow this teacher in the classroom to have the autonomy to put her special touch, her special relationship, her special training on this tier 1 curriculum to our students. Once they master this tier 1 curriculum given to these students with this special touch from this teacher, our mastery goals will have been met. Therefore, our performance goals will follow them. However, at the end of the day, we're more worried about making that kid life ready and giving them the experience they need for life. Is that, see how they kind of mesh together?
All right, I gotta cut us off right there because we have to go have opportunity for a 30-minute executive session. So I need I guess I need a vote to go into executive sesling. All in favor? Motion right here. Second right here. We didn't have a secretary. It doesn't really matter. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay, executive session for the audience. Oh, you got it from back there? Did you get the motion in a second? Did you know who it was? People in the audience, maximum of 30 minutes. Could be less if we don't have enough to discuss for 30 minutes. Maximum of 30 minutes executive session with Mr. Colorado.